Importance of white-tailed deer. The white-tailed deer, Otocoileus virginianus, is one of the most recognizable and widespread mammals in North America. It plays a crucial role in the ecosystems it inhabits, influencing vegetation dynamics, serving as prey for predators, and even impacting human economies through hunting and wildlife observation. This species' adaptability to various habitats, from dense forests to suburban neighborhoods, has contributed to its widespread success. However, this adaptability has also led to conflicts with humans, particularly in areas where deer populations have surged beyond the carrying capacity of the environment. Overview of distribution and habitat. White-tailed deer are native to a broad range of regions, extending from southern Canada through the United States, Mexico, Central America, and into northern South America. This species thrives in diverse environments, including deciduous and mixed forests, grasslands, wetlands, and even arid regions. The adaptability of the white-tailed deer to different habitats is a key factor in its extensive distribution. As human development encroaches on natural landscapes, white-tailed deer have increasingly adapted to suburban and urban areas, leading to complex interactions with human populations. Size and weight. White-tailed deer exhibit considerable variation in size and weight, depending on factors such as sex, age, diet, and geographic location. Adult males, known as bucks, typically weigh between 150 and 300 pounds, 68 to 136 kilograms, though some individuals can exceed this range. Bucks generally stand about 3 to 3.5 feet, 91 to 107 centimeters, tall at the shoulder. In contrast, females, or does, are smaller, usually weighing between 90 and 200 pounds, 41 to 91 kilograms, and standing slightly shorter. The size of white-tailed deer also varies geographically, with larger individuals often found in northern regions, where larger body size helps conserve heat in colder climates. Coat coloration and seasonal changes. The white-tailed deer's coat undergoes significant changes throughout the year to adapt to seasonal variations in temperature and camouflage. In the spring and summer, their coats are reddish-brown, which helps them blend into the lush vegetation of these seasons. This reddish hue is replaced by a grayish-brown coat in the fall and winter, providing better camouflage in the barren, snowy landscapes. The change in coat color is accompanied by a thickening of the fur, which provides additional insulation during the colder months. This seasonal molt is a crucial adaptation that enhances the deer's survival in varying environmental conditions. Antlers, structure, growth cycle, and function. One of the most distinctive features of white-tailed deer is the antlers of the males. These antlers are made of bone and are shed and regrown annually. The growth cycle of antlers begins in the spring when new antlers start to form, covered in a soft, vascular tissue known as velvet. This velvet supplies nutrients to the growing antlers. By late summer, the antlers have reached their full size, and the velvet dries up and is rubbed off by the buck. The antlers are used primarily for combat with other males during the breeding season, or rut, as bucks compete for the opportunity to mate with females. The size and number of points on a buck's antlers can vary widely, influenced by factors such as age, genetics, and nutrition. After the rut, antlers are shed in late winter, and the cycle begins anew. Sensory capabilities, vision, hearing, and smell. White-tailed deer have highly developed sensory capabilities that help them detect predators and navigate their environment. Their vision is adapted for low-light conditions, which suits their crepuscular, active during dawn and dusk, behavior. They can detect movement well but may struggle with sharp details or color differentiation. Their hearing is also acute, with large, flexible ears that can rotate to pinpoint sounds. However, it is their sense of smell that is perhaps the most critical. The white-tailed deer has an excellent olfactory system, which allows it to detect predators, locate food, and even identify other deer. This sense of smell is so finely tuned that it is often the primary means by which deer detect danger and communicate with one another through scent marking. Activity patterns, crepuscular behavior. White-tailed deer are primarily crepuscular, meaning they are most active during the early morning and late evening. This activity pattern helps them avoid predators, which are often less active during these times, and reduces exposure to the heat of the day, especially in warmer climates. During the middle of the day, deer often rest in shaded areas, where they remain relatively inactive but still alert to potential threats. This crepuscular behavior is also influenced by human activity. In areas with high human presence, deer may shift their activity to more nocturnal patterns to avoid encounters. Social structure, group dynamics, and territoriality. The social structure of white-tailed deer is relatively fluid and varies depending on the season and environmental conditions. During most of the year, does and their offspring form small, matriarchal groups. These groups provide safety in numbers, particularly for fawns, which are vulnerable to predators. Bucks, on the other hand, tend to be more solitary, especially outside the breeding season. However, young bucks may form small bachelor groups. During the rut, the social dynamics shift as bucks become more territorial and competitive. They establish and defend territories, often marked by rubbing their antlers on trees and leaving scent marks. These territories are primarily defended against other males, with the goal of securing access to receptive females. Communication methods, vocalizations, scent marking, and body language. White-tailed deer communicate using a combination of vocalizations, scent marking, and body language. Vocalizations include grunts, bleats, and snorts, each serving different purposes. For example, does may use a bleat to call their fawns, while a snort may indicate alarm. Scent marking is another critical form of communication, especially during the breeding season. Bucks use scent glands located on their legs, forehead, and antlers to leave chemical signals that convey information about their presence, dominance, and reproductive status. Body language is also important. A raised tail, for instance, is a well-known signal of alarm, often used to warn other deer of potential danger. Migration and dispersal patterns. While not all white-tailed deer populations migrate, some do exhibit seasonal migration patterns, especially in northern regions where harsh winters force them to seek out more favorable conditions. These migrations can be over relatively short distances or can span several miles. Deer may move from high-elevation summer ranges to lower-elevation winter ranges where food is more accessible and snow cover is less severe. Dispersal, particularly among young males, is also common. After their first year, young bucks often leave their mother's territory to establish their own, reducing competition for resources and inbreeding within the population. General diet composition. White-tailed deer are herbivores with a diet that varies widely depending on the season, available vegetation, and geographical location. Their diet typically includes a variety of plants, such as leaves, twigs, fruits, nuts, and grasses. They are also known to feed on agricultural crops when available, which can lead to conflicts with farmers. The diversity in their diet allows them to adapt to different habitats and seasonal changes in food availability. Seasonal variations in diet. The diet of white-tailed deer changes with the seasons, reflecting the availability of different types of vegetation. In the spring and summer, when fresh growth is abundant, deer primarily consume green leaves, herbs, and fruits. During the fall, they shift to eating more hard mast, such as acorns and other nuts, which are high in fat and help build energy reserves for the winter. In the winter, when green vegetation is scarce, deer rely more on woody browse, such as twigs and bark, to survive. This seasonal dietary flexibility is crucial for their survival in diverse and changing environments. Impact of diet on habitat and vegetation. The foraging behavior of white-tailed deer has a significant impact on the habitats they occupy. In areas with high deer populations, overbrowsing can lead to the depletion of certain plant species, particularly young trees and shrubs. This can have cascading effects on the ecosystem, such as reducing habitat availability for other species, altering forest composition, and even influencing soil erosion patterns. In some cases, the impact of overbrowsing has led to the decline of plant species that are unable to regenerate under heavy deer pressure. Foraging techniques and adaptations. White-tailed deer are highly adaptable foragers. They possess a well-developed sense of smell that helps them locate food, even under snow cover. Their digestive system is adapted to process a wide range of plant materials, with a specialized four-chambered stomach that allows them to break down tough plant fibers. Deer often browse selectively, choosing the most nutritious parts of plants, such as tender leaves and buds, which provide the highest energy and nutrient content. This selective foraging behavior helps them maximize their energy intake while minimizing the time spent exposed to predators. Breeding season, rut timing and behavior. The breeding season for white-tailed deer, commonly known as the rut, occurs in the fall, typically from October to December. The timing of the rut is influenced by factors such as latitude, with northern populations tending to breed earlier than southern ones. During the rut, bucks become more aggressive and engage in a variety of behaviors designed to establish dominance and attract does. These behaviors include sparring with other bucks, marking territory with scent, and displaying their antlers. Bucks will also actively search for receptive does, often covering large distances in the process. Mating strategies. Competition among bucks. Competition among bucks for mating opportunities is intense during the rut. Bucks use their antlers to engage in fights, which can range from brief skirmishes to prolonged battles. These fights are generally not to the death, but they can result in injuries. The outcome of these contests often determines which buck gets access to a receptive doe. In addition to physical combat, bucks also engage in displays of strength and fitness, such as chasing does and marking territory, to assert their dominance. Gestation and birth, fawning season and parental care. After mating, does undergo a gestation period of about 200 days, typically giving birth in late spring or early summer. The timing of birth is critical, as it coincides with the period when vegetation is most abundant, providing ample food for the nursing doe and her fawns. Does usually give birth to 1 to 3 fawns, with twins being common. Fawns are born with a spotted coat, which provides camouflage against predators. During the first few weeks of life, fawns remain hidden in dense vegetation while their mother forages nearby. The doe returns several times a day to nurse them, and as they grow, fawns begin to follow their mother and learn to forage. Fawn development and survival strategies. Fawn survival is highly dependent on their ability to remain undetected by predators during the early weeks of life. Their spotted coat and lack of scent help them blend into their surroundings. Fawns grow rapidly, and by the time they are a few months old, they are capable of keeping up with their mother and evading predators. Weaning occurs at around 8 to 10 weeks of age, but fawns typically remain with their mother until the following spring. The survival of fawns is influenced by factors such as habitat quality, predator density, and the health and experience of the mother. Historical predators: wolves, cougars, and bears. Historically, white-tailed deer were preyed upon by a variety of large carnivores, including wolves, cougars, and bears. These predators played a significant role in regulating deer populations, ensuring that only the fittest individuals survived to reproduce. The presence of these natural predators also influenced the behavior and distribution of deer, encouraging them to avoid open areas and remain vigilant. Modern predators and human influence. Today, the primary predators of white-tailed deer include coyotes, bobcats, and domestic dogs, particularly in regions where larger predators have been extirpated. Humans have become the most significant predator through hunting, which is heavily regulated to manage deer populations and prevent overpopulation. In some areas, human activity has created a landscape where deer thrive, particularly in suburban and agricultural areas where natural predators are scarce. Diseases and parasites. White-tailed deer are susceptible to a variety of diseases and parasites that can impact their health and population dynamics. Chronic wasting disease, CWD, is a significant concern, as it is a contagious, fatal neurological disease that affects deer populations in some regions. Other diseases, such as epizootic hemorrhagic disease, EHD, and Lyme disease, carried by ticks that infest deer, also pose threats. Parasites, including ticks, lice, and various internal worms, can weaken individual deer, making them more vulnerable to predation and reducing their reproductive success. Impact of habitat fragmentation and urbanization. Habitat fragmentation and urbanization are among the most significant human-induced threats to white-tailed deer. As forests and other natural habitats are cleared for development, deer populations are forced into smaller, fragmented areas, which can lead to increased competition for resources, higher predation rates, and greater susceptibility to disease. Urbanization also increases the likelihood of deer-vehicle collisions, which are a major cause of mortality in suburban and urban areas. In some cases, urban and suburban environments provide an abundance of food and shelter, leading to artificially high deer populations that can further exacerbate human-deer conflicts. Historical population trends and recovery. White-tailed deer populations have experienced significant fluctuations over the past few centuries. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, overhunting and habitat destruction led to a dramatic decline in deer populations across much of their range. However, conservation efforts, including the establishment of hunting regulations, habitat restoration, and the reintroduction of deer into areas where they had been extirpated, have led to a remarkable recovery. Today, white-tailed deer populations are thriving in many regions, to the point where overpopulation has become a concern in some areas. Overpopulation issues and ecological impact. In regions where white-tailed deer populations have grown beyond the carrying capacity of the environment, overpopulation can have significant ecological impacts. Overbrowsing by large deer populations can lead to the decline of plant species, particularly those that are slow-growing or sensitive to grazing. This, in turn, can reduce biodiversity and alter the structure and composition of forests and other ecosystems. Overpopulation also increases the likelihood of disease outbreaks, as high-density deer populations provide ideal conditions for the spread of infectious diseases. Role of hunting in population control. Regulated hunting is one of the primary tools used to manage white-tailed deer populations. By controlling the number of deer harvested each year, wildlife managers can help maintain deer populations at levels that are sustainable for both the deer and the ecosystems they inhabit. Hunting also provides economic benefits through the sale of licenses and permits, and it plays a role in maintaining cultural traditions in many communities. In some areas, where hunting is not feasible or socially acceptable, other methods of population control, such as fertility control or the reintroduction of natural predators, are being explored. Conservation efforts and policies. Conservation efforts for white-tailed deer focus on maintaining healthy populations while minimizing conflicts with humans and ensuring the long-term health of the ecosystems they inhabit. These efforts include habitat management, monitoring of disease outbreaks, and public education about the importance of deer management. In addition, policies aimed at reducing deer-vehicle collisions, such as the installation of wildlife crossings and the use of fencing along highways, are being implemented in some regions. Ongoing research is also critical to understanding the complex dynamics of deer populations and developing effective management strategies. Economic impact, agriculture, forestry, and hunting industry. White-tailed deer have a significant economic impact, both positive and negative. On the positive side, deer hunting is a major industry in many parts of North America, contributing billions of dollars annually to local economies through the sale of hunting licenses, equipment, and related services. Deer are also a popular species for wildlife observation and photography, which supports tourism and recreation industries. On the negative side, deer can cause substantial damage to agriculture and forestry by feeding on crops, young trees, and other vegetation. This damage can result in significant economic losses for farmers and foresters, leading to conflicts between wildlife conservation and agricultural interests. Deer-vehicle collisions, prevention and management. Deer-vehicle collisions are a serious concern, particularly in regions with high deer populations and extensive road networks. These collisions can result in significant damage to vehicles, injuries, and fatalities for both deer and humans. Various strategies have been employed to reduce the incidence of deer-vehicle collisions, including the use of warning signs, fencing, wildlife crossings, and the implementation of deer culling programs in areas with particularly high collision rates. Public awareness campaigns also play a role in educating drivers about the risks of deer on the road, particularly during the breeding season when deer are more active and prone to crossing roads. Deer in urban and suburban areas, challenges and solutions. As white-tailed deer populations have grown and expanded into urban and suburban areas, they have increasingly come into conflict with humans. In these environments, deer can cause damage to gardens, landscaping, and natural areas, leading to frustration for homeowners and land managers. Additionally, the presence of deer in urban areas can increase the risk of deer-vehicle collisions and the spread of diseases such as Lyme disease. Managing deer in these areas is challenging, as traditional methods such as hunting may not be feasible. Instead, a combination of strategies, including habitat modification, fencing, and fertility control, is often used to manage deer populations in urban and suburban settings. Cultural and symbolic significance. White-tailed deer hold a special place in the cultural and symbolic landscape of North America. For many indigenous peoples, deer are a symbol of sustenance, spirituality, and connection to the natural world. In modern times, deer have become an emblem of wildlife conservation and a symbol of the wilderness that still exists within our increasingly urbanized landscapes. They are also a common motif in art, literature, and folklore, where they are often depicted as graceful, elusive creatures that embody the beauty and mystery of nature. Herbivory and vegetation dynamics. As herbivores, white-tailed deer play a crucial role in shaping vegetation dynamics within the ecosystems they inhabit. By feeding on a variety of plants, deer can influence the composition and structure of plant communities, promoting the growth of some species while suppressing others. In some cases, heavy browsing by deer can lead to shifts in forest composition, with implications for the entire ecosystem. For example, overbrowsing can reduce the abundance of certain tree species, leading to changes in the availability of habitat and food for other wildlife. Role in seed dispersal. White-tailed deer also play a role in seed dispersal, particularly for plants that produce fleshy fruits. As deer consume these fruits, the seeds pass through their digestive system and are deposited in new locations, often far from the parent plant. This process, known as endozookery, can help plant species colonize new areas and maintain genetic diversity. Deer are particularly important dispersers for certain species of shrubs and trees, such as berries and acorns, which rely on animals for seed dispersal. Impact on other wildlife species. The presence and behavior of white-tailed deer can have a cascading effect on other wildlife species. For example, by altering vegetation structure through browsing, deer can influence the availability of habitat for other animals, such as birds and small mammals. In some cases, high deer densities can lead to reduced habitat quality for these species, leading to declines in their populations. Conversely, deer can also create opportunities for other species by opening up dense vegetation, making it easier for certain plants and animals to thrive. Keystone species debate. There is ongoing debate among ecologists about whether white-tailed deer should be considered a keystone species, one that has a disproportionately large impact on its environment relative to its abundance. Proponents of this view argue that deer significantly shape the structure and composition of ecosystems through their feeding behavior, with wide-ranging effects on other species and ecological processes. Critics, however, suggest that the impact of deer may be context-dependent and that they may not exert the same level of influence across all ecosystems. Regardless of this debate, it is clear that white-tailed deer play a significant role in the environments they inhabit, and their management is crucial to maintaining ecological balance. In conclusion, the white-tailed deer is a species of great ecological, economic, and cultural significance. Its adaptability and resilience have allowed it to thrive in a wide range of environments, from deep forests to suburban neighborhoods. However, this success has also led to challenges, including overpopulation, habitat degradation, and conflicts with humans. Effective management of white-tailed deer populations requires a nuanced understanding of their biology, behavior, and interactions with the environment. continued research and conservation efforts are essential to ensuring that white-tailed deer remain a vital and sustainable part of North America's natural heritage. As we move forward, it is important to balance the needs of this iconic species with the health of the ecosystems they inhabit and the interests of the human communities that share their environment. If you find it interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to watch more interesting videos.